sessions and sessions and sessions of tacos and tingle wingle wingles. Welcome, fellow Guardians, to the Last City Podcast. I'm your host, Furms57. Over there is your co-host, Sausage Mahoney, 1992. Say hi to the people, Sausage.
What's going on, everybody? Sausage here.
Hey, all right. And boy, since the last time we came to you guys, a lot has happened. Holy cow, has a lot happened, has it not, my friend? I mean, it. Oh wow! Like the things that have changed, the topics to discuss. It's we have a plethora, but we only have so much time. So we'll hop right into our first kind of discussion point that you and I were kind of talking about before, and that the Edge of Fate really, honestly, at its core, should have just been a relaunch and should have just been Destiny 3 since of how much it fundamentally changed the game. And for the audience out there, today's assessment is going to be coming from actually two different perspectives for the game, as your buddy Furms here does not have the DLC for Edge of Fate. So my experience with the supposed mechanics and stuff is completely different than what Sausage is going to tell you about. So you're going to get two different viewpoints from this. But having said that, Sausage, I will yield the floor to you to start with your assessment of your thoughts on should this have been Destiny 3 and so on. And based on that, I think that'll just be a nice segue into the next topic we were going to discuss, which is what everybody in the community is basically complaining about, which is the power grind. Again, that's going to be where you guys are going to get two different opinions from this because, as I said, I do not have the expansion. Sausage does. So, Sausage, please feel free to take it away.
Story-wise, it's a little controversial. Some people thought the story was terrible. I would like them to, go play a real game then, because apparently, the story was fantastic. I really liked it. Why people thought, oh, what are you talking about? And I don't want to spoil too much because, like Mr. Furms has said, he has not played it yet. And I think he is going to absolutely love the story. The ending, incredible.
And that
I
is
can't wait to
completely
see
my
where they
fault.
go.
Like, I could potentially buy it, but I just haven't had the money yet. So it's unfortunate. But hey, if anybody in our audience wants to, feel free to gift me a copy. I'm just saying, no need to. Just say it anyway. Sausage, back to you.
Excuse me, getting over allergies or something from last week. Anyway, I really enjoyed the story. I look forward to where it's going. I think what's going to carry this game for a while is the story. And the reason for that is because to anyone who has played Edge of Fate, or even not played Edge of Fate, but has played the game since the armor rework and all that different stuff, the grind is not fun. The portal activities, not fun. You're, for the most part, being forced to play solo ops because for whatever reason, that's where all the good loot is. I hop on to do a little bit and then I hop off. I'm not grinding that hard, but the story is what's carrying this game. Right now, that's all the game really has going for it. And to the people who thought the story was bad, I just please explain to me why the story was bad. But with that said, I think a Destiny 3 may have been the right choice because this would have been a perfect opportunity to start something completely brand new. You can, still bring characters over. You're going to lose, items. There's a lot to juggle there. But Edge of Fate had a lot of potential. And I also don't understand why they didn't advertise it sooner. They only waited like a month before they said, here's anything, go ahead and pre-order. There were a lot of variables, and a lot of those variables got dropped. And I think maybe if they had just marketed it as D3 for the next 10 years, it may have done a little bit better than what it is right now.
And I will definitely agree with you on that because I think the core concept of people are upset is like you and I discussed. How many people, myself included, have kept so many pieces of armor from the pre-armor 3.0 carryover? We kept the armor that we had which now the stats on that armor are now, as you said to me, you're going to wind up replacing it anyways. So if you we're fundamentally going to end up replacing all of it anyway, so when we get to tier 5 or whatever, why not just make a whole new game? Because there's a grind and then there's starting from scratch, and that's what this feels like. This, I think the community is outraged because it's starting from zero again. We're basically starting from scratch, and we just paid $40 instead of 70 like we usually do, and we're losing pretty much everything. The only thing that's carrying over are exotics, and even then you're going to re-roll the exotics because you can just do that at Rahul. Every week
Hmm.
you can do your either with Zur, or you can do it with, you know, just doing normal activities and getting an exotic engram, and you have enough
Hmm.
golf balls, you know. So that to me is where it is fundamentally. This should have been Destiny 3. They should have just ended Destiny 2 with the final shape, stamped it, and then I'm gonna go back to this from a previous episode before. I will blame Marathon for this. If Bungie had not committed resources to try to make Marathon into what it became and what it is now currently, and devoted it instead to their only money making IP, and realized, hey, with what we're wanting to do, maybe we should just release a new game. And while we're at it, let's get an updated engine. Let's update this thing so that this way we can only offer this to next gen stuff, and we can actually advance the stuff and fix the game and make things better. That to me is what Bungie should have done. That's where they massively fumbled this. And that is where I blame, as always, Pete, which we don't have to worry about anymore. We're going to get to that later, and we're going to get a little Firm's happy dance at some point. But
Well, so the starting from zero, yeah, I I agree. My issue there is it's the power grind and being forced, if you want to hit 450 or whatever, being forced, forced to play solo ops. The I don't mind that I'm starting from zero or close to zero, but you have to make the grind worth it. And right now the grind isn't worth it, so I don't want to play the game. So it's like, well, when eventually, if Bungie does fix it, when people and here's another thing, they're resetting the power level with Ash and Iron. So we only got like what, maybe 2 months to get to 450, and now that people are at 450, okay, well you're going back down to 10 or 200 or whatever that baseline is going to be. So it's like, so what's the point of even grinding? The grind isn't fun. It the grind is more than just a grind, because you're not doing you'll grind and then you'll get like one piece of gear for like an entire day's worth of grinding that's actually an upgrade. So like, why why I should want to play your game,
yeah,
but i don't I don't want to.
like for me, well, you know, again, you were able to reach a higher power level because you had the DLC, so you were able to play the legendary campaign, which is a huge advantage for a lot of people wanting to get that grind and get that power level up. Is by doing the legendary campaign. It is a no-brainer. You do that, you complete that, you're going to be at a
Mhm.
decent power cap, especially when they were preparing for the raid race or whatever, you know, to be ready for contest mode or whatever. So like, as somebody who doesn't have it, I'm at a disadvantage because the only thing I have available to grind is the portal. Because you can't just load into Vanguard Ops anymore or Gambit. I mean, you can still load into Gambit, but there's no benefit to you. You're not getting anything out of the activity other than you're just playing it to play. You're playing it for the love of the game, like you're in college football. But for me, you know, my thought process is like I want to be able to do things that are match made more frequently. I would play fire team portal activities, and I still do, but I wish that instead of the top 3 being the ones that are match made for the daily rotation, which I understand Bungie wants to highlight certain activities for the day, but guess what? Add another row to that. It would be great, and include one of two rotating things that require more than one person: the coil or an onslaught activity. Make that a match made rotator, and that will get more people playing the fire team activity portal, because I know that's something that Bungie has come out and it's in the community has said that they want people to do more than just the solo ops, but people are only doing solo
Mhm.
ops because you can customize it and make it worth your while. You can't do that with match made, because you don't get that option. It's because you're not going to get everybody to agree on what they want the match made stuff to be. If you have a
Right.
pre-made team though, which not everybody does, and Fire Team Finder is still an absolute disaster, that thing is so god awful. I don't even touch it. If you're not around, or if any of our other clanmates are not around, I'm not doing anything like that. I'm just running solo because I can customize it. And even then, you're at a disadvantage. If you want to do Pinnacle, you need to also, and that's the other thing too that I don't think I brought up in our pre-taping segment, is like the Pinnacle portal, wanting to do exotic missions, you need to make one of them at least match made. You can have all of them available, but make one of them a daily match made one, so people who don't have a pre-made fire team can match make with people who need to get it done and maybe want to get better gear. Because I haven't touched that. I haven't touched the Pinnacle portal because of that reason. I can't
Mhm.
match make. And I don't want to reach out to everybody because not everybody's available all the time when I want to run that stuff. When I get the itch to want to run it, I want to run it. I don't want to wait to make sure everybody's available. If I want to run the Starcrossed, which I don't, I have no desire to run that. But
Hey, talk to Clap. He loves that mission. Shout
yeah.
out Clap. Clap if you're watching. Shout out. But no, he'll run Starcrossed. He loves that mission.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like, you got to have, in order to do that stuff, which is the way to get, as we all know from classic Destiny 2 grinding, Pinnacle means better gear, means better leveling. And that's what I miss about what they removed. That was one of the things with Final Shape that I actually liked, the Pathfinder system. You got 2 Pinnacle engrams per week, guaranteed, no matter what you did. If you grinded Crucible, Gambit, or Vanguard, it didn't matter what you did, you got a Pinnacle. And then after you got your 2 Pinnacles, you got prisms. So it gave you a reason, an incentive to keep doing it. And that's what I was doing for the longest time when I was still playing the game religiously, is I was just doing stuff to fill that up to get those rewards because it was a tree. Now they still have it in the Pale Heart, and the Pale Heart does give you Pinnacle ops. So if anybody out there like me who does not have the DLC, go do Pale Heart Pathfinder. That is going to get you Pinnacle gear without having to do the Pinnacle stuff, because it says it right on the window. I just verified it the other day. And hopefully we'll get a screenshot showing that. So maybe I'll record that at some point. So um but that's what I'm gonna do when I need to get Pinnacle stuff from now on when I'm on my own. I'm just gonna load in and do overloads, or whatever, overlooks. What's it called in the Pale Heart again? The is
Oh yeah,
it's over
yeah,
something.
yeah.
And again, we'll probably put that in there. We'll probably do like a womp 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 or something like that. The editor here will do that. Or you're over. I gotta figure out which direction I'm going. Anywho, so so from my perspective, the power grind is not unattainable, but at the same time, it is a pain in the ass because you're not really. And we talked about this when this first started, and this is one of the other things I wanted to bring up. World of Warcraft, I play quite a bit, as you can tell from the Horde banner behind me. I play quite a bit of World of Warcraft, and I've gotten used to leveling in World of Warcraft, where when you do an activity that is higher above your activity level, you get rewarded as such.
You're talking about Warcraft, so I
Yes, you're holding Frostmourne. Yes,
build my Frostborn. Oh, that's too
yes,
high.
yeah, way too high, way too high. Anywho, so um, like I'm used to. So if you spec into a higher level activity, you're going to get a gear equivalent to that level. So like when you do in World of Warcraft right now, if you say I'm only a 300 power level, like gear level, eye level, whatever they call it, but I spec into a delve that's a 600 plus, I'm getting 600 level gear by the end of that delve. You don't get that in Destiny. Now, I understand that that's always been the way, but what is the point of having somebody like Sausage over here who is a higher power level, who you bring my power level up to match his, but I'm not getting the rewards of the level of the activity that I'm having to also encounter? That to me doesn't jive. And so that's the biggest problem that I've been having with it, and that's another reason why I'm only playing solo ops, because what is the point of me doing non-match made activity stuff with a teammate who is a higher level than me, who I'm going to be brought up to their level, which means it's going to bring the activity up to that level, but I'm only still getting gear equivalent to what my current level is of 2 or 3 up. No, that ain't cool. And I'm hoping that with this other stuff that we're going to talk about today, that this might change and might be something that is well received by the community. I think that if the power grind were more akin to like it is in World of Warcraft or MMOs, I think that the Destiny community as a whole would not complain so much about the power grind. Because if you're doing higher level activities with people, you get equivalent rewards. You know, and again, it's equivalent rewards. It's not just you're guaranteed. It's equivalent rewards based on different metrics. Now I understand, and again, this is kind of where it would tie into if they just made Edge of Fate Destiny 3, this is a new engine that they could have incorporated and they could have made it more, because one of the things I've also read that we're going to discuss here in a minute with the news of the other news of the day is, from what I understand, they want to make it more like an MMO than a looter shooter. And if that's the case, if what you told me before with what they're wanting to do with the class system, with our classes, if they're wanting to go that route, then creating a new engine would have perfectly done that, and you could have used WoW as a template.
Well, I remember reading at one point, so when they were working with Activision, and Activision also owned Blizzard, or at least their partner, I don't remember. But the point is, when they're developing the original Destiny, they were thinking about the idea of a trading system like with World of Warcraft and an auction house. And Blizzard said, absolutely not. That is one of the biggest regrets that we have. If you can avoid it, do it. It's more it's more of a headache than it's worth. So
Well, yeah,
just a little tidbit, a
with the rampant
little fun fact.
rampant problems that they've had with since the implementation of the auction house, you had so many people's accounts getting stolen and everything like that, and that's why they instituted the WoW token. Which we're getting off topic from Destiny. We're talking about
Yeah,
WoW
we
here,
are.
but I mean, at the same time though, what we can do that because we are comparing apples to oranges in this regard, because it's tying directly into it. Blizzard, Activision were a part of the same company that Bungie was back in the day when Destiny first came out, and because of the input of the teams, that's where we get what we got, where Destiny became more of a looter shooter, like a Halo-esque, like Bungie had done before, rather than being an MMO that they were originally planning. So they still incorporate the MMO because the storytelling portion of Destiny to me is very MMO-like. It's very, I think the lore in Destiny is on par, if not better, than the lore of World of Warcraft. And I love the World of Warcraft lore. Like, this, dude. Loktar Ogar, Arthas' story
Yeah,
is the best in all of fiction.
up until a certain point, and then I have to disagree. And but like you said, we're getting off topic.
We're
We
getting off
maybe
topic.
we'll start a second
But
podcast about WoW
no,
lore.
no, no, yeah, because then it would be the reverse. I still play, you don't. Okay, so
And then you can
speaking,
have a grumpy. "Well, back in my day, we didn't have dragon skin
we
flying,
didn't
whatever.
have dragon riding, we didn't have flying. You had to
Right?
use WASD and barely moving,
You have
which
to
you can still
run
switch
until
to.
level 40.
Mm-hmm. All right. So now, speaking of Activision Blizzard acquisitions, independence, everything like that, let's talk about one of the biggest topics to come out of the last time we were together for the podcast. Um, the fact that Sony is now fully going to be absorbing Bungie into their studio. Bungie will no longer be just considered an independent studio, just part owned by Sony. They are being incorporated and going to be a first party studio, just like Naughty Dog, Santa Monica Studios, everything like that. So Pete Parsons is gone. Pete Parsons, that son of a bitch, is gone. And yes, I swore on the podcast. I don't care. I am happy. Pete's gone. He retired. I don't care. Pete's gone. I'm so happy. But with Sony doing this, do we think this is a good thing for Destiny, or do we think this is a bad thing? What are we thinking? What does it mean for the future of this property that we've all, become accustomed to playing? Like, where do we think here? Like, what are your thoughts, Sausage? Let's get your take on this to start real quick here.
It's going to be bittersweet. It's sweet because Pete Parsons is not in the role anymore. We don't know. We're hoping whoever takes his place will make better decisions, but ultimately we'll have to see. Um, if Sony is smart, they will look at what works, what doesn't work, what the community wants and doesn't want, and then say, you are going to do exactly this. That's best case scenario. Worst case scenario, they require a PSN account and they do this and they add more microtransactions and yada, yada, yada. I think it's probably going to fall somewhere in the middle. They will probably make better decisions while also introducing more microtransactions. I don't think the PSN account thing will happen. Now, if they made Destiny 3, they probably would try to. Um, but that's kind of where I'm sitting at. I don't.
Yeah, but
It's
you, one
bittersweet, but
one
I don't
one
really
would
feel
hope
one way or the other.
one would hope that Sony finally learned their lesson with Helldivers 2 and learned with that PSN bullcrap, and also learned you don't want to lock out an entire fan base who grew up playing a similar type of shooter that are craving for something because the own in-house studio couldn't create something worth damn well playing. And you finally release it, and then the news comes out that it sold faster than it ever did on PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
Just shows you how dumb Sony management is. So that to me does not make me excited. It just means that it's one suit changing hands. It just means that it's going to be one disillusioned idiot in front of another one. And
It's possible.
I would only hope that the guy that they hired, who that they brought in to fill in Pete's position, he used to work at Bungie, correct? He was a former creative director or something, I
Mm-hmm.
think. So he
Mm-hmm.
has his hands in the creativeness. He's been in the trenches. He knows stuff. He's been in the lore. He knows the things. And maybe he getting his hands on it, maybe they'll start to make the right changes. And then unfortunately, it's too late for Renegades. It's too late for Edge of Fate. But we're talking for in the future, the expansions coming after that, what are coming after that stuff. I would only hope that it gets better and
Mm-hmm.
it makes something brighter for the future for the franchise, because I don't want to see this community fail, because a lot of my good friends, you yourself included, are who I met through this game. I don't want this game to fail. I don't want the community to fail. I just wish the people in charge of it would wake up and start listening to not just Astacross and Grenadier Jake and whoever else, Frostbolt, whatever. But I pick on Astacross the most because he just, no, I don't like you, sir. And if you see this Astacross, I don't care. I don't like you. Um, so
Just to be clear, that's a very one-sided thing. I don't. Again, I'm subscribed, but I don't feel one way or the other.
that's
Those are
that's
purely
just me.
firm thoughts.
That's just me. But um, I think if they listen to the actual community for once instead of just the content creators, because that's a lot of what I hear too, is a lot of people complaining that Bungie kowtows to the content creators, but it's only select few. It's only their select chosen few. And it's usually Astacross is at the top of that list. I'm not going to put Mactix on that list because I have my own opinions about him. I think build wise, he's one of the best in the business when it comes to helping analyze builds and stuff. But I don't think Bungie kowtows to content creators. I just think that they are too quick to do knee jerk reactions and they don't take the time to look into stuff and they don't react to the correct stuff. That's the problem. They need to, and that, again, all of this at its core could have been solved by just creating a new game. If you'd made Destiny 3, which is the overall theme of this episode today, if you'd have just made a new game and started from scratch and implemented a new engine and all this other stuff, a lot of stuff would have been fixed. And yes, would there be bugs? Yes, but we would expect it with a new game and a new engine. We don't
Mhm.
expect it with a 15, 20-year-old engine and a game that's been around for 10 years just because you implement a new system. Mm-mm. But that's my take on that. So the next thing I think that we want to go into is, so general consensus is we both kind of we're on the fence. We don't really know. We're not going to hold our breath, but we're also a little hopeful. And I think that's something that the community in a whole needs. And something that to me, having watched it recently, that made me hopeful and excited in a way, but also now with you talking about with the change coming up, Ash and Iron. Oh my lord, Ash and Iron. Going back to the Plaguelands, that was one of my favorite things to do in Destiny 1 when I first started playing Destiny, when I got to the point of being able to play the Rise of Iron expansion, because the Plaguelands to me was a whole different experience compared to the Dreadnought, the rest of the Cosmodrome, even Venus. It was its own thing, and you felt a sense like when I would explore it, just even doing like patrol missions, I would get this almost overwhelming sense of foreboding, especially when you would get into the part of the Plaguelands where Siva really took over. That they really leaned into the horror aspect. And like it was terrifying to run that stuff the first time as a solo guy and running that whole thing by myself. Oh man. That was fighting that Siva construct at the end. Oh, ho, ho, let me tell you. But like to see in that trailer that got released and to see all those locations and remember every single one of them and know right where that's at and know, hey, I remember that place. Hey, I remember that place. It's just it's you get that almost sense of nostalgia. But the fact that we're also getting a new exotic mission, which is pretty neat, so that's going to be fun to run and learn. And we're getting, I think, a new weapon. It looks like we're getting an axe. Like we're actually getting a double-handed, like a two-handed,
We'll
dual-bladed.
see.
We'll see. But see, this is why I'm not going to hold my breath, because when Season of the Haunted got announced and they showed the sickle, what did the
Yep.
community think? We all thought, we're getting a sickle permanently. Nope, it's only for the activity and it's only for a limited time. So I have a feeling
Yep.
that axe could be the same thing. Is like, yeah,
I'm
you
hopeful
get.
that it's not. I'm hopeful that it's the
Oh,
exotic, but we'll
oh,
see.
yeah, yeah. If it's the exotic and it's in the heavy slot, and you give a Titan, you give a Void Axe Titan a heavy axe. Just call them dwarves. Diggy diggy hole, diggy hole, because you're just basically making Titan dwarves at that point with axes that fucking big. Excuse my language. That's all I could think of. So I'm excited for Ash and Iron. I'm not excited that if they drop the power level down to where you got to go back to 10, which I think would be stupid. Like I remember when they would do that for us when the season would reset and we would have to go back down to base power level and regrind back up. So it's not a grind that we haven't done before, but I would hope they wouldn't make us go all the way back down to 10. If they would do like if you made it to Guardian rank 5, you start out at base level 200 and you just have to get back to 400. That would be fine. But if you are lower than rank 4, rank 5 or whatever rank they would make it if they did it. I don't know. We're speculating here.
Right.
Then maybe that's something different. I don't know. Again, I'm doing this from the perspective of I'm trying to reach max power level by not having the DLC. But if the power level is going to get reset when this resets in a week, because it is a week, I think Ash and Iron starts next week, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, which would be we're
Yeah.
recording this on the 6th of September 2025, and I believe that starts on the 12th or a reset on Tuesday, because I believe we're going to premiere this. We're planning to premiere this the Monday before reset because that's when Ash and Iron hits. So we have this weekend I have this weekend to get max power level without the DLC. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. So, but what are your thoughts? Because clearly I'm geeking out because I'm gonna play the living crap out of it. And that exotic mission being that it's a warsat activity, like I'm kind of interested because it's a warsat. Who did we know that was a warsat? That maybe we didn't fully get rid of him?
I'm not. He's gone. He is gone. There's. If Bungie were to bring Rasputin back, it would undermine that whole sacrifice. Now, enough time has passed that maybe they could. I don't know. I don't know. They keep pulling, tricks out of their sleeve that I don't necessarily agree with, but it is interesting. My concern, my biggest thought is people have wanted Siva back for a long, long, long time. Um, and before anybody says it, there's no Siva subclass. If you're here thinking hashtag Siva subclass confirmed, get the hell out. Okay, let's be real. Anyway, they said it's gone. It's not
Says
coming
the
back.
guy that has a segment on this program called the Spinfoil Hat segment.
It's not possible. It's not. It's not paracausal. You can't have a Siva subclass. It's not going to happen. There's no spinfoil theory. It doesn't connect unless the traveler is like, guess what, guys? Anyway, maybe that will be a spinfoil at some point. We're getting off topic. Siva is gone. Bungie said Siva is gone. It's not coming back. Lo and behold, where are we going? Hmm. Hmm. Think it all. I think what is going to happen, and it's not going to make anybody happy, they are going to say there is a little bit of Siva left, and the conductor wants to go get it to then bolster her, Vex forces. I bet that's what's going to happen. If will it, I don't know, but
Dude,
that's what I'm thinking. And
dude, that is
hold on,
oh.
yeah, it's terrifying.
The implications of just you throwing that sentence away, dude, is just what are you doing? Why are you putting that in the ether? You know what the fan base is going to do with that. I can already see the fanfic.
But that's why we're being sent in like, hey, Guardian, there's Siva and the conductor, go stop it. And we are going to stop it, and we are going to destroy that last little piece of Siva that exists.
But wait a minute, though.
I'm
In
betting that is exactly what's going to happen, and it's going to piss people off because they want the Siva, and we're getting it, but not really. Just like with Oryx, Oryx came back, but not really. I bet that is exactly
But he
what's going to
came
happen.
back and touched all of our hearts and gave us one of the best moments in all of video gamedom.
Was that
His noble sacrifice and his quote at the end.
Oh,
I just hope the
I was
stars remember the shape I gave them.
I prefer the quote "knife of my slaying" to arms. Like, yes,
Okay.
sir.
This is not of my taking. Knife of my slaying. To arms. And you just like, you immediately went stood to attention. And meanwhile,
You
I'm
got
like,
it, boss.
I'm like, and then Eris is like, bitch, what?
But that is what I think the story is going to be for Ash and Iron. The conductor is trying to get Siva because she thinks it exists, or maybe she can like create it, but she needs to be there to create
so are
it.
you trying to?
And we are going to stop it, and so Siva's back, but not really.
Well, because here's my question then, because in the trailer, the majority of the enemies that we're looking at are Cabal. And from what I heard
True.
from the voiceover, which they got Ikora's voice actress back, and I noticed that
Okay.
playing some of the older stuff and all the missions where Deborah Wilson filled in, they've already redubbed, like I said they would. People told me I was nuts. No, they redubbed it because she was just a fill-in. She wasn't a replacement. It's because a strike was going on. Anywho, but could it be maybe that the conductor Maya Sundaresh has gotten so good with her ability from the Echo that she's not just able to manipulate Vex anymore, but she can manipulate Shadow Legion?
They did. I'm pretty sure that was straight up Cabal. I don't think it was Shadow Legion.
Okay, I'm just speculating here, just kind of spinning off into the Spinfoil Hat segment here in a moment. But like I'm just thinking, like there's so many questions, and that's the thing is like, are we going to get an answer? And is Ash and Iron? Like, here's my question: is the story going to have to be tied? Is it going to be tied directly into the storyline of Edge of Fate, or is it going to be its own story that can be canonically existing? Like, that's my question, because if there's spoilers for the Edge of Fate campaign, I might have to just bite the bullet.
I think that it's going to tie into Edge of Fate just because of the conductor, which I don't want to spoil too much, but the conductor is a big part of Edge of Fate. Just sorry, you're just gonna have to live with that.
Oh, now
Live
stuff
with that.
makes more sense. Now it makes more sense.
And because the Cabal are there, and because I'm assuming you know this, so I'm just gonna say it. Renegades, the leading theory right now, the Cabal mugged some Cabal mugged Zur, stole paracausal weapons from him, and they are now on Mars producing weapons, which I think is how we're going to get lightsabers and all that stuff. But so I'm wondering if Edge of, or Ash and Iron is tied into Edge of Fate a little bit, and with the Cabal there, that's going to help push us into Renegades.
Here's my thing. That is amazing storytelling. Because who better for that shit to go down on than Noodles himself? Like who better? We already had Fred Tessitore, the guy who voices him, do the actual written origin, the Zur line where he literally gets broken by the nine. Literally gets broken. And he's the one that gets mugged because he's on his way to the tower, and this rogue Cabal group who hates Keitel and the Alliance just attacks him because they know his route, because Zur's not smart enough to take a different route. Let's be real. Noodles is not going to take a different route. He's going to take the same route because he's just going to be like, I'm here for the nine. I'm here to deliver the goods from the nine. And, or maybe, Dares of Eternity. They spawn in the Cabal. The Cabal rage against him. And these are the Dares of Eternity Cabal. I don't know. Spitballing here. Anyway, it's time for Sausage's Spinfoil Hat segment. Good segue. Take it away, brother.
Okay, so this Spinfoil hat here, it has nothing to do with what we've talked about, but it does have something to do with what might be coming up. To anyone who is new to Destiny, and I mean in the past 3 years, maybe, if you've started playing within the past, actually, now that I'm thinking, yeah, within like the past 3 years, we'll go with that. If you started within the past 3 years, you do not know something called the Haunted Forest. So, in during Halloween, we have the haunted lost sectors, which a lot of people don't like. They liked them for the first year, and then they came back the second year, and then people complained, and I get it. But anyway, there used to be an event or an activity during the event called the Haunted Forest. There was a part of Destiny that got sunset that was completely vexed during it was inside the Infinite Forest. Infinite Forest got sunset. Because of that, we don't go to the Haunted Forest anymore. What it was you just ran it was something like 10, I think it was like 10 rounds. It was almost pitch black, and you are just running through a Vex area, jumping over things, killing Hive. You would have to go fight a boss, then you get sent back to the beginning, and it's a little bit harder. You go kill the next boss, a little bit harder. You do that so many times in a row within like 20 minutes, and then you got a reward. It was you just turned your brain off and you got to kill Hive in complete darkness. It was a lot of fun. They got rid of it again because things got sunset, but also I think the power creep that had something to do with it as well, because with all of the different ignitions and the void explosions and jolting and all that, I don't think there was enough space, and there's probably too many particles on screen to manage all of it. So I think there are multiple reasons why it got sunset. But with the power level being reset, I don't know about everybody else, but I noticed that things aren't exploding as quickly. Probably because the power level, that's just how it happens. Well, all of that to say, I did not discover this on my own. There was somebody online, somebody on Reddit. I don't know their name. If you happen to be watching this Reddit guy, please comment down below that, hey, I found this. I'm just showing you guys what I found that he or she found. I'm going to be recording this. It's going to go somewhere on the screen as I'm talking. So let me go ahead and start recording. Oh, I'll bring myself back up. All right. So if you go up to collections, you go to, where is it? Flare? No. Where is it? Armor. Nope. It's around here. I'm finding it, guys. Oh man, I was not. Where are the masks? Where are the masks? They're around here. I promise. Not
Ladies and
weapons.
gentlemen,
What am
this
I doing?
podcast has officially gone off the rails. I do
Yeah,
apologize.
it's
We will
gone
be
off
back
the
to our normal
rails. Oh, here we go.
podcast here in a moment.
So miscellaneous. If you go to Flare miscellaneous, pick any mask. We'll just grab the traveler mask. Okay. Reacquire it out of collections. If you go over to the mask and you go over here, look at these different armor mods. It says these perks are active only inside the quote haunted forest. Does that mean we're going back to the haunted forest when Festival of the Lost returns? And it's not just this one. Look at that. Inside the haunted forest. Inside the haunted forest. My Spinfoil theory that I got from somebody on Reddit, which again, if it's you, please comment below. We're going back to the haunted forest this year. And I can't wait. I'm going to turn on some spooky music. I'm going to stream. I'm going to turn my brain off and I'm just going to shoot a bunch of hive in complete darkness.
And honey, I'm going to make a day of it. It's going to be like a goddamn day at the spa, let me tell you. Oh my God. Oh man. You know, I wasn't around for the haunted forest when that was, because I got in during Beyond Light. So I think by that point it had already been removed. Or it was getting removed when Beyond Light came in. But I'll tell you this, that sounds fun. And it sounds like Dark Moon Fair to me a little bit. Going back to the WoW analogy, it sounds a lot like a Dark Moon Fair type thing. You know, it's
A little bit.
but like it still sounds fun if you can just turn your brain off and just slay massive amounts of hive. Who doesn't love doing that? Just going in and
complete
just
darkness.
it's like the beginning of
webs.
and it's like the beginning. So basically, it's like the beginning of Crota's End. So just D1
Yep.
Crota's End, not D2.
Yep.
D2 is way too well illuminated. D1, you are in pitch blackness. Just like with the sunless cell.
It's not pitch. It's more D2 Crota than.
Oh.
But it's still. You do you remember during Right of the Nine in the Prophecy Dungeon with the giant Dark Blade Hive Knight who would chase you around in the box? He's also chasing you through the levels. Yes.
So you have a guy on your tail. Oh, that's even more terrifying because that's
I guess I should have said that.
Yeah, that's even more terrifying because that's like the new update to Space Marine 2 that they just added, where you can add modifiers to where you only can see 30 meters around you, and you have a lictor that is constantly chasing you that you can only shoo away for a period of time, and it follows you the whole level, and that's the one that goes invisible that pops out of nowhere, and like it looks like Cthulhu. Like, yeah, it never goes like that just excites. Oh. Anywho, that's
So
a different topic.
If Haunted Forest comes back this year, you, me, and we'll find somebody else.
Oh yeah,
we're gonna play it. We're gonna stream it. We're gonna have a good time.
We'll find a fellow Destiny 2 creator. Maybe we get either Primal or my friend No Jalapenos, or maybe I could get Luna. You know, we don't know. Well, there's people.
Shout out to all those people.
Yep, shout out to all those people. But anywho, so ladies and gentlemen, that is this episode of the Last City podcast today. There's just been a lot that's happened. There's a lot of things we don't know about. There's a lot of question marks. There's a lot of hopefulness potentially. But for the most part, we're just basically sitting here just waiting to see what happens. So we'll have to see what happens on reset when Ash and Ire launches to see what our power level gets reset to. We'll just have to wait and see. And guys, that when this is all said and done, we will be back with another episode to go over the fallout from Ash and Iron, and we will be back to also discuss what we expect to happen with Renegades and where we think at that point things might be going. So until then, my name is Furms57. The wonderful gentleman to my right is Sausage Mahoney. We appreciate you, and we shall see you again, Guardians. Starside.